friends and gamers. Welcome to the Fortress. We're doing January 1939 for the Americans and the KMT turn, and Europe is at the brink of war. Unfortunately, the Americans are not quite yet. They're several turns away. They're still at their very low income of 20 IPPs rather. It is still a ways to go for them. And so I ask you, the observers, what interesting ideas do you have for America to do prior to the game? Outside of the game, come up with some creative ideas. I don't mean lend lease to this place and watch how it unfolds. I mean in the idea of what if we came up with an expansion as to what would add to the game. So here's an idea. What if you had some sort of internal political strife in America in this pre-game side of things? One side would be played by the Allies, and the isolationists would be played by the communists, the Comintern player. Now, it doesn't mean that if the Comintern player wins, then there'd be nothing going, then the Americans wouldn't do anything in the war. It just means that if the communist wins, then there would be a set amount of IPPs that the American player would have to send to Russia each and every turn. That would incentivize the Comintern to win the political struggle. And you could do certain things like, for instance, you would have little diplomatic or influence tokens, and you try to influence territories for the vote and industrialist, and so the allied player could do something like they could set essentially deals and say, okay, we'll win the votes of the East Coast if we put our effort more on the Atlantic side, and say we'll guarantee that we have to put a certain amount of money once we're at war into this side each and every turn. Something along those lines. Anyways, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And if not, that's cool too. Let's take a look at the economic table. So the Americans have $35 to spend. They've been saving for a few turns and now are starting to ramp up. We have 4 tech rolls to do, and I'm going to do them first. So first one that we're going to do is Advanced Artillery. 11, success. Next we're going to do Advanced Mechanized, a success, and another 11. Jet Fighters, 12. I can't believe this. Last time I got all successes too, and last one is a miss. I had to break the luck. So everything but the heavy bombers. There we go. It's 3 out of 4. Exceptionally good rolls last turn and this turn, which makes up for my first turn's misses. I forgot to say I'm building a Lend-Lease for the Netherlands, and I'm building 5 militia. I put a lot of emphasis in militia, more so than the average player, but you'll see I do militia and fortifications a lot more than other people. China has $4 to spend, and they are not spending it, so they're keeping that money. America has $20 that they're keeping as well. Okay, let's take a look at the table and our placements. So we have no movements as the Americans, but we do have movements as the KMT. So we are evacuating Hunan, and we're coming into the Kwangtung position right here and capturing it from the communists. So I will grab a chip. This situation occurs after much bargaining with the CCP player to give them let them know the merits of letting the KMT survive and not be vanquished by the mighty CCP forces. So KMT survives to fight another day and surrendered all of its coastline and its homeland territory, or its not former homeland, it's all homeland territory, but it surrenders nationalist territory to the CCP and withdraws into the mountains to take on the role and do a long march into the mountains. So one quick thing, the Chinese can never take this territory here. Once it becomes CCP, or once it becomes Japanese, there's no way that Chinese forces can come here. I would need to build Marines, and I would have to evolve to get Marines to come here. I can't build Marines normally. Or I could get Lend-Lease, I suppose, for a Marine, so that would work. But that won't work for a long time. I can't build Marines, and none of my allied friends can spare money. And also, I'm not at war with major powers, so the USA cannot Lend-Lease to the KMT at this point. But that's something worth noting that though we have a narrow crossing here, the KMT cannot capture that territory. much to the delight of the CCP player, probably. So KMT income goes up by 2, and so we are now sitting at our 4. It's not very much, but it's it's all we got. Okay, place unit phase, so the KMT gets nothing, and I have 5 militia to spend as the Americans. Okay, the Americans do have a plan and a system. We're putting 1 militia on Wake. We're putting 1 militia on Midway. The reason being is that these are worth victory points to the Japanese players, so we want to try to screw them over as much as we possibly can, just because we, well, I like Panzer King quite a bit, but you know, we're enemies right now, kind of ish, or potentially enemies, and the last 2 militia come over here to the Philippines. Now let's take you over to the Netherlands. Our last Lebanese drops off in the Netherlands, so now they have 4 infantry and 2 militia in the Netherlands. So that is getting to be a nice stack. Okay, so that is it for the Americans and the KMT forces. So to conclude in the collect income phase, USA collects $20, which brings it up to $40 total in the treasury. And the KMT collects another $4, which brings them up to $8 left to spend on the next turn. Next person's channel is going to be Panzer Kings, and with the new German turn. So that will be, oh, that'd be 7.1, and we're all excited to see it. Me especially. It means either Germany's going to go to war this turn, or perhaps they're going to wait one more turn, and we shall see which it is. So check out those guys' channels, Hilltop Pillbox and Panzer King. They are fantastic players, and I love watching their videos. So check them out as well. Cheers!